It's Rutherford, and it's the Cowboys outdueling the Giants in a second half that saw 30 combined points. That's more like it. Danny Dimes made some nice throws, 20 of 37 for a $196, but Cooper Rush getting it done when asked of him. 21 of 31, now 3-0 as a starter. Had a touchdown, threw some very nice passes, and a dime of his own to the corner to CeeDee Lamb, who dropped an important pass earlier in the first half, but came out gangbusters in the second. 87 yards, 8 receptions, and that receiving touchdown as Dallas moves to 2-1 and gets that all-important win in the division. All right, let's break it down with the two-time Super Bowl champ Bryant McFadden. B-Mac, really a tale of two halves here. Looked like that slow, plodding field goal pace in the first 30 minutes. Second half, play callers take the governor off. Players start executing. What was the biggest difference you saw there from the first 30 to the second?
Well, we saw some big plays from both offenses. You know, the Saquon Barkley touchdown was huge. We saw Pollard with a nice run, as well as Ezekiel Elliott getting things going on the ground game for the Dallas Cowboys as well. So we started to see some holes open for both running backs from either side that they were able to capitalize on, that put their team in position to either score or put them in the red zone area.
Cooper Rush was fantastic in this game. Call him what you want. Game manager, backup, stopgap. He's a winner. Now 3-0 with 2 primetime wins, and here a road win in primetime in the division. Man is earning himself some future money, but he's doing more than that right now, B-Mac. Where have you seen him most effective in this Cowboys game plan?
Just the way he managed the game, as you said, the moment never seemed too big for him. And they left some plays out there on the football field. You talk about that potential touchdown that CeeDee Lamb dropped. I mean, that could have really improved Cooper Rush's stats. So he seems to gravitate to this moment. The guys are rallying around him, and he's making the throws that he needs to make. That was an outstanding throw. Only one person he put that ball only where CeeDee Lamb could catch it. Mm-hmm. The defender had no shot in making a play on that football, and then you just talk about the one-hand grab by CeeDee Lamb. That's a thing of beauty as well. So me personally, Cooper Rush, Joe, has exceeded the expectations, and if he's not careful, he might potentially find himself in that Chase Daniel direction in regards to backup quarterbacks with a nice payday coming their way.
I know there's a lot of franchises out there already unhappy with their quarterback play. Cooper Rush making a name for himself very quickly here in this role, filling in for Dak. Dak is reportedly ahead of schedule. We'll see when he gets back, but the road ahead for these Cowboys goes Commanders, Rams, Eagles, and Lions. We will cross those bridges when we get there. You mentioned the run game, B-Mac. And we've really spent the early part of this season trying to identify the feature back in Dallas, whether that be Pollard or Zeke. And here they are again, really splitting the production down the middle, 170 plus as a duo. Is it time that we just sit back and appreciate this duo for what it is?
Yes, they're a duo. I don't think there's one featured guy in their offense at the running back position. Granted, Ezekiel Elliott gets the start, but as you see, they basically equally split the carries, and they can coexist in the same backfield. I also love the way they're being utilized together in the backfield. You know, Ezekiel Elliott is more of that power type guy, bigger body. Pollard has more of a burst. You know, he's a guy that's a big playmaker for their offense, as we saw tonight. So I like the movement that they have going with both guys in the backfield. And one thing that I also like as well, you don't see either guy complaining. They celebrate each other. They root for each other. When one person is on the sideline, you know, you don't see anybody pouting to try to get into the game. And that's something that you need to have, especially knowing and understanding that you will have 2 running backs that you need to rely on.
Valuable road win here that went through those 2 gentlemen, Cooper Rush as well. But you don't get the Mac man in the building and not talk a little defense. 5 sacks here for Dallas, rushing the passer very effectively. None of those sacks attributed to Micah Parsons, but still affecting the game in many ways. What did you see out of Micah and this pass rush as a whole?
He's just the ultimate disruptor. And that's the storyline for the Dallas Cowboys. Defense, defense, defense. You talked about it, Joe. They got 5 sacks. Number 11 didn't have 1 sack. Think about that. And we know he was not at his best, a little under the weather, but yet and still, his teammates rallied to give him the production that he wasn't able to give his team. So that is a plus, because 9 times out of 10, when Micah Parsons is feeling good and healthy, you know he's going to get at least 1 sack. But they were able to sack Daniel Jones 5 times, not to mention how many times did they hit him. I mean, if you look at Daniel Jones' kneecaps, he was bleeding from the knees because he kept falling down. His jersey was dirty. They played on field turf. It was no grass. His jersey looked like he was playing on grass. That's how many times they put him to the turf. So that's a big-time bright spot for the Dallas Cowboys. You know, just seeing how well they were able to rush the passer, because for them, especially with Dak Prescott on the sideline, they will have to continue to play that type of ball to keep their team within reach of winning ball games.
It is a pivotal win here, a road win in the division here on Monday night in prime time. We got to address the Giants side of the conversation here, B-Mac. And if you're looking for a silver lining, maybe it's that Daboll's guys really don't let go of the rope. They could have had a couple different points there in the second half. What's been your impression of the way that this team has responded to their new head coach, although here in a loss?
They fight, they compete, and they play to the end. Tonight, they just was overmatched, especially in the trenches. Bright spot for the Giants, they have their coach in place. I can tell you that much. They have a coach that the guys believe in and they respect. And Saquon Barkley looks to be the Saquon Barkley of old. So that's a plus. He ran very, very well. He's very, very explosive. He had his speed. He's 100% healthy. And I understand you have the career primetime record for Daniel Jones, but Daniel Jones didn't play bad. He got beat up tonight. Every time he got knocked down, he got right back up. His receivers didn't do him any favors. It was a lot of makeable passes that they did not come down with, but Daniel Jones competed as well. So yes, they lost this ball game, but I like the way they fought. And eventually they should be able to improve their offensive line play, the technique and the fundamentals to be able to keep their quarterback a little more comfortable in the pocket. But I like what I'm seeing from Saquon Barkley. And like I said, tonight, even though he had that last interception and wasn't solely his fault, his receiver felt, Daniel Jones played pretty well considering how much he got knocked down.
Yeah, Daniel Jones did put the ball on the money when it was needed there in a couple moments. That interception at the end came off a receiver falling down. They do have a welcome matchup against the Bears at home this coming week. Then it is the Packers and the Ravens, so we'll get to find out who they really are in terms of playoff potential with this Giants team. And let's maybe talk about playoffs here. Zooming out 30,000 feet in that division, B-Mac. Anything you see here on Monday night tell you that maybe hold on now, let's not crown the Birds just yet, or is that clear and beyond the best team in this division and you are ready to crown them?
No question, I'm ready to crown the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm ready to crown the Eagles. They're playing some of their best football right now. They're the most balanced team, clearly, in their division, one of the more balanced teams in the National Football League. But I'm liking, Joe, what I'm seeing from the Cowboys defensively. I like their ability to rush the passer. That's a big-time plus for the Eagles as well. Their entire defense, they do a great job in collapsing the pocket and putting pressure. So me personally, if the Dallas Cowboys defense can continue this type of play, consistency, rushing the passer, they can make things interesting, especially with a healthy Dak Prescott in the lineup. But right now, yes, put the crown on the Eagles. It's their division to lose right now.
It very much is, and I'm glad you said it that way. Their division to lose. Everything is contingent on health of the quarterback there in Philly, but they do look like the best team in that division and what many are calling the best team in football right now after maybe we knee-jerk there on a Bills loss. B-Mac, you have the experience here in these moments and in these matchups, divisionally specific. Your teams in Pittsburgh dominated divisional opponents for years at a time. The Cowboys are now 10-1 against the Giants since 2017. When it's going like that, does the hill appear to get steeper for that team that just can't get to the win column?
No question, it does. You know, what we used to say in Pittsburgh, you know, under Mike Tomlin, take them out in deep water and drown them early. Don't play around. Don't make them think they can survive. Just take them out and just drown them and get it over with and get ready for the next opponent. And right now, the Dallas Cowboys, even though the Giants fought, they've been finding ways to beat the Giants. You know what I mean? And even with their backup quarterback, they still find a way to beat the Giants. And that has been the storyline for these two teams for quite some time. But I can tell you this much, though. I like what I'm seeing from the New York Giants. Based on what we've seen in years past, I think if you're a Giants fan, you have to feel optimistic about the future, especially with them being able to improve their roster, get better personnel on both sides of the football. But most importantly, they have a coach. They have a coach on the sideline that can get things done. He has a proven track record of being able to get the most out of his offense and his quarterback. So that is a big-time built-in block for their team moving forward.
When he talks, you better listen because he's got Lombardi's. Mac, man, we thank you as always.
Yes, sir.
All right, taking a look at the payoff here, and you want to win? You win with us. Here's a look at those Sportsline winning wagers handed out during pregame. Kenny White gave you an early payday. New York's first possession, a punt, you had to pay the price, but they call them favorites for a reason. Danny Cannell was on Daniel Jones over his 25.5 rushing yards. He was right around that neighborhood at halftime and got there eventually. Katie Mox cashed that ticket late as Daniel Jones throws an interception. The time winding down, and she played him over that half INT at a short price as well. Todd Furman, it was not a fun watch, but it is a winner as well. He warned you. Cooper Rush under his 4.5 rushing yards. Hold your breath. Thank him later. Todd also cashed on Zeke under his 1.5 receptions. Pete Prisco had himself a night as well. Nearly a clean sweep. Here's a look at Pete's 3 winners that include Zeke over the 62.5, Saquon over the 76.5, and the Cowboys catching the point. The conversation continues on All Things Covered with BMAC and P2. Our guy sits down with some of the biggest names in sports and entertainment. Can't miss conversations week in and week out on All Things Covered.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.